stage left, yeah. Well, hello there. Thank you for coming to St. James Cathedral when the weather is sort of normal summer as opposed to climate apocalypse. I'm Robbie Ellis, and today's concert in the Rush Hour concert series is the Deborah Sobol Memorial Concert, named for the pianist who was so key in starting this series and performing in it and maintaining it and giving it its ethos. Also, this concert today is generously sponsored by Dr. Roland Chang, Cynthia and Norm Goldring, and friends of Deborah Sobol. I'm going to talk to two of the performers in the concert today, two members of the Avalon String Quartet. Immediately to my right is Anthony Deborah, the violist, and then Blaise Magnière, the first violinist. How long has the Avalon String Quartet been around? Definitely no strangers to this concert series.
Sure, I'm one of the founding members of the quartet, and we started as students in, I believe, it's hard to say, 96, 97, so it's been a very long time that we've been performing together, and in this particular formation, we've been together for about 17 years? 16, 17 years, so we've been together for a long time in this exact formation, and we are in residence at Northern Illinois University, and perform around the country, but that's our base, the Chicago area.
Wonderful. So coming up 30 years, I might ask you about some thoughts for your anniversary then, but it wouldn't be a Rush Hour concert series without a last-minute performer change due to illness. I will point out your programs have an insert. There's a change of repertoire and also a change of pianist. We were going to hear the piano quartet of Reena Esmail, a very Hindustani-influenced piece that I believe that you did get to perform elsewhere earlier this summer. Unfortunately, not on the program today. But instead, we have a string quartet by Jesse Montgomery. And I was talking to someone in the audience just before who suggested he really wanted to suggest to you, the quartet, that you get to know a piece called Strum by Jesse Montgomery. I'm guessing you both are familiar with her work already. Yeah.
Yes, we are. This quartet that we're playing today, Breakaway, is an earlier work of hers, I think from around 2010.
I think 2010-ish, yeah.
Which actually is right around the same time that Reena Esmail's piano quintet was composed. But anyway, this is a pretty early work for Jesse Montgomery. Jesse is probably familiar to many of you for having been composer in residence recently with the Chicago Symphony, and her music is performed a lot around town and all around the country. And her distinctive style mixes influences from her own performing background. She's an excellent violinist herself and also plays some viola, so writes particularly effectively for string instruments and draws on her background in improvisation and in jazz and in American roots music and just the many different styles that she has engaged with as a performer, before as a composer.
So this quartet is called Breakaway, riffs on many different styles of music, as you said, everything from hip-hop to electronica to Anton Webern, a full gamut of the 20th century and 21st. And I understand that no two performances of this piece are the same. There are some improvisational elements in this piece.
There are some improvised sections, especially later in the piece. There are also some sections earlier on that are structured for three of the players, while one is sort of off on a little bit of a
wandering,
a tangent,
Rumspringer.
And yeah, that can sound different from performance to performance. I think what was important for us was to understand a bigger picture structure for how we wanted the improvised sections to flow and to come together and to make sense in the context of their larger movements. And once we settled on kind of a roadmap of that, then it's a matter of just being as creative and spontaneous as you can be as a player and drawing on your different technical skills from very different kinds of music and try to bring it into this piece. So it's a little outside of our comfort zone as classical players and as a string quartet that really focuses on primarily on canonical, conventional string quartet writing. It's a bit of a departure for us, but it's great fun to play. It's great fun for the audiences to hear, and it's been kind of a mind opener for us as players.
I'll ask about both of your personal experiences with improvisation. In your pasts as musicians, have you had much of a chance to improvise, or is it the sort of thing that if you see on the page, you have to really steel yourself to approach?
Well, personally, I didn't have much experience with improvisation. I do enjoy composing, but that's a very different skill.
Very slow improvisation.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really tricky at first, and we had to really learn how to do it. And we realized, as Tony was mentioning, that you really need a good roadmap and really understand the parameters of improvisation to make it work and really enjoy it. And it really is eye-opening and freeing, so it's been great.
And Tony, have you played much improvisation or improvisatory genres in the past?
No, I have very little training in how to do that, so this was kind of trial by fire, and we learned from each other. We shared ideas about how to do it. We're also very fortunate to have some extraordinary jazz colleagues at our school at NIU out in DeKalb. So we have some resources to draw on for just understanding how people go about doing this. But no, I think all four of us come from fairly limited experience in that pursuit.
Okay, so that is the Jesse Montgomery piece. It's a string quartet called Breakaway. As I mentioned before, the Reena Esmail piece as advertised, not on the program today. We'll see if we can get it into next season. But yeah, it is quite an extraordinary piece full of Hindustani influences. However, the Robert Schumann Piano Quintet is as advertised with a pianist who has swapped in, Cheng-Hou Wang, who makes a habit of being swapped in at the last minute for rush hour concerts, and very grateful we are to have him. So Robert Schumann's Piano Quintet, there are these three very productive years in his life, just as he gets married to Clara Wieck. 1840 is the year of song. He wrote over 130 songs in one calendar year. 1841, he writes 2 symphonies and a bunch of other orchestral pieces. And 1842, the year that this piece is from, his year of chamber music. It's a piece with a sunny disposition, would you say?
Oh, very much. Very bright, very energetic, a lot of sort of motoric energy in the inside of the ensemble, and very freely soaring melodic intervallic relationships between the other instruments that really take us from the bottom to the top of the register of the ensemble. So yeah, just very outgoing and celebratory piece.
I've got to ask both of you, across the half-hour span of this work, 4 movements, is there just one corner that you absolutely love and relish every time it comes up?
Blaise discovered a Bach quote in this piece.
Oh, okay.
He's just making fun of me. There is no Bach quote, but it feels like it could be a Bach quote. So I thought it was, but there is a section in the first movement when suddenly the quintet stops and you just have this very slow descending line at the beginning of a development, and it's really arresting, and I think it's very special. And it's suddenly quite dark. The music turns dark for a second, and then it gets right back to it. What I love about Schumann always is the incredible character of the music all the time. There's a certain eccentric quality to it, I find, and it's very much reined in this piece. So you have this, it feels like it might just fall off its course many times, but he keeps it easy to understand, but with a ton of characters and a ton of storyline. It feels like a long story to me, told from the beginning of the piece to the very end.
And of course, he was very much a vocal composer, wrote a lot of stories into setting great German poetry in his songs. So next week you are on tour. The Avalon Quartet is on tour. You want to tell people about what you're up to in Michigan?
Sure. We will be heading up this weekend to the White Lake Chamber Music Festival, which is on Michigan's west coast in the White Lake region, Whitehall and Montague, which is just a little north of the Holland and Grand Rapids area, but right on the Lake Michigan coast. It's a 9-day festival that for a number of years has been run by Bob Swan, who's a retired Chicago Symphony violist, and he's become a good friend of ours. So we'll be playing 2 different quartet programs up there, including incredible Mozart string quintet, which is new to us, the Mozart D major string quintet with Michael Azunian, who's the retired principal violist from the Metropolitan Opera. He's now Michigan-based, so he'll be coming to the festival with us. It'll be a great chance to meet a new player and get to perform this extraordinary piece that it's not actually one of his most performed viola quintets, but it's sitting right there. It's fiendishly difficult. I think that's why it doesn't get played a lot, so we're going to get to know it this weekend and perform it next Tuesday.
A violist who you might be able to tempt over this side of the lake to play in this concert series another season?
That'd be nice. We'll talk to him about that.
Be nice. The Avalon Quartet, Blaise, you are a founding member. You have a 30th anniversary, not to point out the slow march of time and aging, but you do have a 30th anniversary coming up later this decade. Any thoughts on what you might want to do for that?
Frankly, not right now. I want to do something extraordinary, obviously, for that, and we'll be thinking about it, and we'll keep you updated. But that is quite a thought. 30 years, who would have thought?
Not to put too much pressure on.
It will probably involve Cheng-Hou Wang in one way or another.
Will you book him more than 24 hours in advance? Poor Cheng-Hou. And last of all, this concert, every year the Rush Hour concert series does one concert in memory of Deborah Sobol, a founder of this concert series, a pianist who played many, many concerts as part of it. You are going to talk about her at the top of the concert as well, but do you want to say a few words about Debbie?
I'm confident that she would have loved this concert program that we're playing today, either in its original form or in the form that it ended up being in. First of all, she loved the piano playing of Cheng-Hou Wang, especially in Schumann and in chamber music, and she loved the idea of Schumann and Brahms and composers from our past, along with music of our time, and just finding connections across centuries and across cultures and continents and music from very different backgrounds. She always loved that. I think she was ahead of the curve when it comes to realizations that the classical music field is starting to have overall about diversifying repertoire, and which this series has done such a great job committing to in the past couple of years. So I think Debbie would have enjoyed all of that, and I think she would have especially loved today's program.
And I'm sure that we are grateful that the Avalon Quartet has a Jesse Montgomery piece in their back pocket that you could pull out because of the last-minute repertoire change. Just to let you know about a couple of upcoming Classical Music Chicago concerts. Tomorrow's Dame Myra Hess Memorial Concert at the 17th Church of Christ Scientist that way. Shelby Yaman, she is a violinist who was performing in this concert series just last week. She's joining Lilia Wohlschlager on piano for an all-female composers recital tomorrow. Beach, Schumann, C. Bronsart, Chaminade, and Jael are the composers in question. And then next week's Rush Hour concert right here next Tuesday, Axiom Brass, guests to this concert series, are joined by organist Stephen Buzard, who is the music director of this very cathedral. And included on the program is music by Stephen Buzard's predecessor as music director here, Leo Sowerby. This concert today starts at 5:45. Please join me in thanking Anthony Devroye and Blaise Magnière. Hello and welcome to this Rush Hour concert, the Deborah Sobol Memorial Concert. I'm Robbie Ellis. Rush Hour concerts are presented by Classical Music Chicago, in part with an award from the Illinois Arts Council Agency. Rush Hour concerts are produced in partnership with St. James Cathedral, and today's concert is generously supported by Dr. Roland Chang, Cynthia and Norm Goldring, and friends of Deborah Sobol. Before we get to the music of Jesse Montgomery and Robert Schumann, I'm going to turn things over to the violist of the Avalon String Quartet, Anthony Devroye.
Thanks, Robbie. It's wonderful to be with you all this evening. Just want to share some thoughts about Debbie and about this really meaningful recognition of the work that she did here. I first got connected to this series in 2013. Debbie invited me on to perform a short recital of music of Benjamin Britten and Frank Bridge with my friend Daniel Schlossberg at the piano. And I was struck at the time by Debbie's energy and her enthusiasm. I found it so infectious. Everyone just wanted to be with her and be a part of what she was doing. And I thought to myself then that that must be what really makes this thing go, just all this energy from one person and all of her attention to detail and all of her creativity and vitality. That must be the secret to the recipe. So she, in the months that followed that, she started to draw me in behind the scenes in this concert series. And then in January of 2014, she died very unexpectedly, very tragically, and it was not clear for some time after that whether or not this series would go on. But it did, and here we continue to be 10 years later, still in St. James Cathedral, still enjoying wonderful concerts together. And I've been thinking in the past couple of days of all that has happened in the world since that time, since 2014, in politics here and abroad, land war in Europe, the global pandemic, all these really major world events, life events. And I really wish I could hear Debbie's thoughts about all of those things. I know that she would have a lot to say. I know that she would share her mind freely, and then it would be really worth listening to what she was saying and what she was thinking about. But most of all, I've been struck that the original vision that she had for this series remains more vital than ever. And I would boil that down to the idea of accessibility, that these concerts are open to anyone, free of charge. Just come in the door, just come be with us. You don't need to have any background in this stuff. You don't need to have any preconceived understanding of what you're going to be doing or expectation for what you're doing. Just take it in and take in the experience with us. The variety of the music that's presented on the series, and especially just the opportunity to put our lives on hold and really just focus on the music, focus on being with each other. All of that is even more important than it was when Debbie first envisioned this years ago. So I miss her very much. I wish she was here. I do know that she would love today's program, both for the music and the performers. I hope that she'll be proud of the many, many people who have worked really hard to keep this series going. But more than anything else, I commend her for her vision of what it means to provide great music for busy lives. And with that, I'm going to go get the rest of my colleagues, and we'll open the program with music of Jesse Montgomery.